Media playback is unsupported on your device. Media caption: These young women told the BBC about their experiences of UAL harassment at work. Nilufer Guler is a waitress, but says she feels more like a worker at times. On the second day in a new job, a table of wealthy, suited men said they would buy her off her manager so she could eat expensive steak with them. They asked if she had an intimate piercing and stared at her throughout their meal. "It's so disrespectful, but I couldn't complain. It's a very precarious industry," she says. And she's not alone. 2 in 5 women in the UK say they have experienced unwanted UAL behavior at work, and only a quarter of them reported it, a BBC survey has found. Among men, 1 in 5, 18%, said they have been harassed at work. The poll of more than 6,000 men and women, one of the largest ever conducted into UAL harassment in the workplace, suggested those who work flexibly are more likely to encounter this type of behavior. Of those in flexible working, including those on 0-hours contracts, self-employed, freelancers and gig economy workers, 43% had experienced some form of UAL harassment at work. It's a situation Camille Ukpana from London can relate to. The 24-year-old worked as a bartender and waitress for an agency. She says guests would make derogatory remarks towards her and her colleagues, and she once saw a man trying to pull up her colleague's skirt in a room of people. The girl had to keep working, otherwise she wouldn't have got paid, she says. When she went to the agency, she says she was met with a cold response. You explain certain things that happen, but they brush it over. They would say if you want to leave, you can go. There are so many people looking for work. Women are disempowered. Waitress Nilufer Guler agrees. With the use of 0-hour contracts, agency work and unfair tipping schemes, it's no surprise that UAL harassment is rife in the industry. They take power away from workers so that they cannot demand better conditions. They can't come forward about UAL harassment and win. She says she believes there is hostility towards unions and democracy in the hospitality industry. This is why there's no avenue for waitresses to speak out, no process of accountability. This is why we need to form unions and work collectively to bring an end to UAL harassment and its normalization. Those taking part in the survey were asked about the most common behaviors they had faced, ranging from unwelcome jokes to pornography and rape. The public spotlight has been focused on UAL harassment since October, when Hollywood heavyweight Harvey Weinstein was first accused of harassment and assault. The story snowballed as A-listers Gwyneth Paltrow, Angelina Jolie and Cara Delevingne added their names to a long list of women claiming Weinstein had preyed on them. The scandal deepened as men and women shared their own experiences at the hands of powerful men in Hollywood, on TV and beyond, culminating in the Me Too Twitter campaign, which saw people across the world tell their stories. For those who have spent decades in the workplace, the whole idea of UAL harassment at work is relatively new, but one that has prompted reflection. Those polled were asked if they agreed that, looking back over my working life, I have witnessed behavior that I now believe to constitute UAL harassment, but didn't think it at the time. 4 in 10, 42% over 55s agreed. Among those near the start of their working lives, 18 to 34-year-olds, 3 in 10 felt the same way. Media playback is unsupported on your device. Media captions and tells the BBC how a surgeon would put his hands up nurses' skirts. Meg, who did not want to give her surname, said she believed change was already underway, as people had begun to talk about things as unacceptable. A few years ago, it was just like, oh, he's just a dirty old man and that's what happens. Her friend, Maureen, agreed. It's shocking, but we didn't use the term assault. We were molested. You were molested in transport, in pubs, in social gatherings. It was normal. There was a general optimism among most people surveyed that the recent scandal would bring sustained improvements in behavior, but almost a third thought the scandals were irrelevant to people's behavior. Confidence that things would change was highest among younger people. 3/4 of 18 to 34-year-olds expected to see long-term changes in behavior, while about a third of over 65s had their doubts. Office worker Honey Jamie said it is fantastic that so many strong women are now banding together. And they refuse to accept it. It's great that so many people are standing up against it, but it's sad that we still have to, she said.